Hi everyone, my name is Dustin Miles. I'm with Momentum Multifamily. I have Veronica Sanchez here today, and super excited to have you, Veronica. I'll hand it over to you if you want to introduce yourself and take it from there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. So, I'm a psychiatrist out here in California, and I recently started my multifamily investment journey. So, I'm kind of a newbie, and I would sort of love to share what I've learned so far and even maybe get some tips from you along the way.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of. Do you have anyone in your family into real estate or real estate investing or single family rentals, or how did you even hear about multifamily?
So, funny enough, I heard about multifamily through a friend that I've known for decades. I had always been interested in real estate, mostly because growing up, I saw my father purchasing land and really purchasing our home, and it
Mm.
became an asset for him. And so, when I graduated from medical school, I started making a little bit of money and I started
Mm.
saving that money. Eventually, I ended up graduating from our training program, and that's where you have a substantial bump in your income.
Right.
And I was telling my friend I was looking for a single family unit, a single family home. And she's the one who exposed me to the scalability of multifamily. And I jumped right into commercial investing
Oh,
because of the
wow.
scalability. Yeah, I jumped right into it. I'm in my first deal that started. I actually invested in my first deal in January. And it was really more so about being able to do more with my money, right?
Mm.
Being able to diversify not just to one unit, which is a single family home, to multiple units across,
Yeah.
yeah, across like apartment complexes, not just one.
Awesome. No, that's great. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, good for you. I know I started, single family and was I gotta dip my toes in the water here and then I gotta dip my toes in the water here. And so good for you, just kinda leapfrog in there a little bit. And can you kind of talk about I mean we're talking about, pretty good sums of money.
Yeah.
It's not like buying a, $10 stock or even maybe even a, $100 stock. We're talking, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, potentially $100,000 or maybe more. I guess, how did you kind of get comfortable with being able to, invest that sum of money into a building?
That is a really great question. And I think a question that honestly comes up for everyone because
Mm.
you're right. Generally, the minimum buy-in for investment is about 50K.
Yeah.
And I would say the way that I became comfortable in it was learning. I
Mm.
joined a mentorship group where I understood the underwriting, which is pretty much just how they analyze the deal.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
learned the terminology because it is like speaking a different language.
Hmm.
I also started meeting operators or syndicators, people who are, I guess you could call them the business leads,
Hmm.
and trying to figure out, do we have the same values? Have they been able
Mm.
to execute this business plan? I kind of see it as investing in a business, right? And so
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
these operators able to execute the business plan? Who is managing the properties? It was like self-education, I would say,
Mm.
and putting myself in rooms with people where I was the dumbest person, where
Mm.
I was having to ask questions and they were nice enough to educate me over coffee.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you caught on very quickly. So, um, and so you invested passively, and then the deal is that you're in is far away from you, right? It's not in
Yeah.
California, not down the street. Okay.
So I would say one of the tough things is investing in California. You can still do a lot of equity, but there's really no cash on cash here.
Hmm.
There is in single family, but for me, it was much more difficult and it took more of my resources in order to invest here. So I'm
Yeah.
currently in Denver, and this year I'm going to be investing in Texas
Mm.
because it has the equity, but it also has the cash on cash throughout the year, which is like a cherry on top for someone from California, right?
Right.
I
Right. Right.
I tend to pick states that I can easily fly to that are maybe a couple hours away on a plane so that if
Mm,
anything comes up, I'm able to go there. I'm also able to meet up with the people who are running the business, the apartment complexes. So
mhm,
for me, being able to go to those states has kept me on the west side of the
mm.
US.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And so so you mentored a mentoring group. What I guess have you how have you been a part of that very long, and kind of what topics have they kind of helped you out with, gotten you more comfortable with to make that leap into multifamily?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I'm been in I think since October. So
Oh,
I like
cool.
to consider myself a newbie.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's only emphasized how I am trying to partner with people who have proven track records, right?
Mm,
It's really important for you to be with someone who's already been in the game, who's willing to mentor you to kind of show you the ins and outs, the behind the curtains look.
yep.
And so for me, that was joining a mentorship group. You don't always have to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
that is what helped me learn the basics and become more comfortable with putting a large sum of my money into real estate in the hands of someone who is going to be making sure that they're protecting my money.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's yeah, smart. I mean, I know for me, like you said, I don't think you necessarily have to. I think, kind of, building those relationships like you mentioned with with that sponsor or the lead is super important, and just try to understand their background and their values and all that. But that's great. The program that you're in's been able to kind of educate you along the way. I know for me with when I wanted to get good at running, and I wanted to be able to accelerate quickly, I hired a coach because I'm like, that person's already done what I want to do. So, and and they're willing to coach me for a fee, so hey, let's do it. So that's
Absolutely.
great. So for this year, or kind of in the future, what does this year look like for you? What are you trying to accomplish? So yeah, I'd love to learn more about that.
Really love that you mentioned paying for education because sometimes that stops us from taking a leap. And
Hmm.
it might be because I had to pay for my education to become a doctor, and that has paid off for me. I feel like anytime that you are buying a book, you're purchasing like coaching and you're improving your skills, it's worth it,
Yeah,
right? In the end, I'm
absolutely.
sure that you felt like the coaching was worth it. And sometimes that keeps us afraid of, oh, we don't want to spend the money on trying to be better. But in the end, I've never had mentorship or coaching that I haven't utilized
Right.
ever.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so for me, this year, I would say is trying to become someone like you who's been able to survive the different economic and sometimes very difficult economic factors that affect multifamily. So I would love to hear what do you think has helped you because you guys have done full sites, right? And so I would love to pick your brain and what would
Yeah.
you say has made you or has helped you guys survive?
Yeah, yeah, it has been, not to beat around the bush, it has been, challenging, for sure. I mean, you've had, kind of started off with COVID, and then that was an interesting challenge in
Wow.
itself. And then right after that, multifamily. So, kind of, 2020, COVID, was pretty challenging. I mean, I remember we bought a deal then, and I remember, which doesn't sound so weird now, but before COVID would have been, at least in the US, would have been super odd. Like, I remember having to go to the bank and wear a mask like that. that
Yeah.
that feels weird. So
Yeah.
I remember I right before I have a picture of it right before I walked into the bank. I think it's Wells Fargo, but anyways, I took a little selfie because I'm like, when am I going to be walking into the bank with a mask again? So hopefully never again. But yeah, I think just to get to your question though, there's a handful of things I think are really helpful. And I think one, just like a lot of people, this industry, if you do have an ego, check it at the door. No
Mm,
one
mm,
knows everything. I mean, for me, it was very interesting to hear, especially kind of during COVID, because a lot of people had a lot more, some people were, especially medical professionals, probably really, really busy. A lot of other people were not as busy, and including myself. So I was watching a lot of webinars, but I remember watching a webinar and the total unit count between the three guys talking was probably 100,000 or 150,000. Like these guys have massive portfolios, billions and billions of dollars. And I just remember the biggest kind of takeaway was from that was because somebody was asking them, oh, what is multifamily going to look like? What are you doing? And blah blah blah. And they're like, well, just to be honest, we don't know what's going to happen. We think it'll be fine at some point, but we don't know how far in the future that is. Like, how long is this going to stick around? I remember, at least for me, I thought like, and I think a lot of other people thought this, like, oh, we'll just kind of, it's just like a week, exercise for a week where we kind of, stay away from people or whatever for a little bit, and then we'll go back to normal. And, depending upon where you are in the country, that stretched out, for quite a bit of time. So, um, I think just kind of being humble, checking your ego at the
mm.
door. I think, always wanting to, there's a Japanese saying, Kaizen. I think it's Kaizen. Just continuous improvement,
Mm.
is kind of a big thing. And then, I think, we've really installed, a lot of systems, and within those systems, comes a lot of accountability, for all of the staff, and so I think that has helped out, tremendously. And I think just trying to be, proactive, as proactive as you can be. And I think sometimes, whether it's the right action or not, you don't always 100% know. But I think obviously educate yourself, talk to a bunch of, people, just try to understand from different professionals, before you do take action. But I think, at some point, taking action, and because we've seen some folks that, um, did not take action, and unfortunately, I think it's, to their detriment on a few things. So, but yeah, I think those are kind of, some of the keys that I think have really, have helped. And so yeah, just to answer your question, and then kind of, honestly, kind of when I started, I did my first deal in 2014, up till about, not 2019 or so. We had just it was the golden age of multifamily. And,
Yeah.
if you bought and frankly didn't screw it up, you probably did pretty well. So especially if you were in Texas. So, so I think that, I benefit from that. A lot of other people, benefit from that as well. So, a lot of, as soon as COVID hit, everybody, had to, buckle down, and it was operations, operations, operations. So,
That makes a lot of sense. You honestly remind me of some of the best advice that I've ever been given, or it was that life doesn't always call those that are qualified. It will qualify those that it calls,
hmm,
right? And so
yeah,
sometimes you just have to take the leap and
Yep.
stumble your way through it and learn along the way instead of just waiting on the sidelines for years and years, because there may never be a perfect moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're probably never is. But yeah, you just have to, take action and then you like, to your point, you learn from that action. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
I took
Mhm.
that action, wasn't 100% correct, but maybe it was half right or 25% right. And then you kind of pivot a little bit and then you take some more action. And then,
Yep.
after hopefully a few tries, you do get it right. So, but yeah, but
Yep.
otherwise, or if
Absolutely.
you don't do anything, then you have a 0% chance of of getting it right. So,
And
yeah.
continuous learning is true to my heart. At any
Mm.
one point, I will have about 10 different books just all around my apartment. And they're in either I've read half of them or one fourth of them. And really, it's just like filling your mind with knowledge, I think is
Mm.
what has made me successful. Just
Yeah.
not just in like business, but also in my personal life of like
Yeah.
continuously trying to learn, trying to sharpen those tools.
Awesome. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that kind of, it occurred in business, but I mean, to your point, I think how you do anything is how you do everything. And so, if you're doing that in your personal life, you're probably doing it over in your business too. So,
And you mentioned systems. I recently read a really great book that I've been recommending to everybody, Atomic Habits,
oh,
which,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, I have you read it?
I I don't know if I read it all. I can't remember. It's been a few years. I don't
Well,
want to tell you the wrong thing.
it focuses on exactly what you're saying. It
Yeah.
focuses on the systems and not just
Mhm.
the end goal. So many times when we have goals, we think about just the end game, right? But if you build these systems that take you step by step, you're more likely to reach those goals. And so it's interesting that you also mentioned systems.
Yeah, I'll have to. I can't remember if I've read that or not. I was part of. There's a mastermind I'm part of, and I know that was on. I just can't remember if I read it that month or not. But now you're inspiring me to go. I do more audiobooks than I do reading. So, anyways, I'll have to go download it and listen to it.
Yes.
Awesome.
When do you listen to your audiobooks?
Mainly when I run. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
run or when I go walk. So or I guess I'm when I'm in the car driving around too. So yeah.
He calls that habit stacking.
Oh, okay.
When you do
Yeah.
two habits at the same time, I do it mostly on my commute because I'm in LA. So you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine I have these long commutes. I do
Yeah.
audiobooks on my commute.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, might as well. I mean, that's when I either do audiobooks or I'm on the phone in the car. So I'm like, might as well be doing something productive. So
I agree.
yeah.
Always feeding your mind.
Yeah. Is is there yeah, I was curious, just to kind of throw a different, question out there for you and
Yeah,
all that. Is there anything that about you that surprises people or yeah, I'd love to just learn more about you.
absolutely. So, one of the things that surprises people is that I was raised in sort of what I lovingly call Little Mexico. It was this
Oh.
tiny little town where we had tons of animals. And one of my earliest memories is actually grabbing a little tiny baby chick, and I
Oh,
wanted to
wow.
be the chick mom, right? So I
Yeah.
chewed up food and I would let the little chick eat out of my mouth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I have a lot of childhood memories that I think are very outdoorsy for
Yep.
my instead of calling it weird, basically. So I think people would be surprised that I was raised, in the dirt, that I
Oh,
was
wow.
raised with a bunch of animals kind of on a farm.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's yeah, definitely that's different, but I mean I think that's how kind of where you grew up and all that gives you, shapes a lot of, who you are
Absolutely.
today and all that. So that's awesome. Um,
Absolutely.
as far as multifamily and I know you're more at the beginning of your career and all
Mhm.
that, but is anything in particular that whenever you're looking at a deal or looking at, hey, I might invest with that person, any kind of traits or characteristics that you're looking for in that person or deal?
Yeah, so for me, I'm usually looking for a tribal leadership type of mentality. So where we all excel together, it's not just
Mm,
that one person. And I
mm,
think it just kind of ties back to my cultural background where I would see my dad and my uncles building tejabanes, which is just
mm,
patios. And so we were all working together as a community. So for me, finding operators who care about communities is really
mm.
important. Obviously, it's also, do they have a track record?
Right,
Someone like you
right.
who's been through the different shifts in the economics of it, someone who's gone full cycle. One of the questions that you always want to ask is capital, right? Capital
Hmm.
calls, have those
Yep.
happen? It doesn't necessarily stop me from investing, but I love transparency. If you
Yeah.
can tell me
Yeah.
that you've done something wrong and you've learned from it, I love that type of honesty. I would say I also look for partners, I think, that are just well-rounded individuals, right? So
Mm.
I have different aspects of myself. Like I'm a psychiatrist out in California, so I really, really love mental health. And I love talking to people who are just genuinely themselves, right? There's an
Hmm.
operator I was recently talking to, and we were talking about cold plunges, right? And
Oh,
how I
cool.
use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever tried it?
Yeah, I usually weekly for me. So yeah.
Oh my God. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is horrible but amazing. I can only do 10 seconds. How long can you do? I mean, I'm not even
Uh,
joking. This has been a year that now I'm at
oh
10 seconds.
wow. Wow.
So,
Yeah, well, okay, so it depends on how often I'm doing it. If I've taken a break for a few months and I get back in, then it is a little bit of a challenge initially. I can usually do a minute or so at a time, but
wow.
what I do is I'll kind of put get in for a minute, I'll get out for a minute, and then I get right back in for a minute, and then by then I'm usually starting to get cold, so then I go into a sauna for a little bit warm back up, and then I go back in and I'll kind of do the same routine. Then by that time I'm usually able to be in for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. And then at some point I can probably just maybe it's weird, but I can just kind of sit in there. And so,
Oh,
um,
thank you
but
for sharing those tips. I'm gonna
yeah,
have to try that.
yeah. And if I don't know if you've done it and there's a sauna nearby, but that
There
might,
is.
okay, that might help. Yeah. If you're,
Yeah,
in
for
that.
me, it's been a year and my
Mm.
mind used to tell me you're gonna die. Like
Oh,
you're gonna die. So now I physically have to tell myself, you're okay.
right.
You're okay the whole time I'm in there. So I'm
Oh,
gonna
wow.
try what you do is kind of
Yeah.
little like it's really what you said in the beginning is like dipping your toe in,
Yep.
right? Dipping your
Yep.
toe in. The
Yep.
same thing as multifamily. In life, things parallel all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I haven't used these, but at least for me, it's usually my feet or the is what hurts the most.
Hmm.
And so I think I've never used them, but I think you can get little toe things or feet things on Amazon to cover, basically kind of warm up your feet a little bit. So that if feet or if that's what really bothers you, then that might be able to help you too. So
See all these little tips that
yeah.
you're giving me. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Who know multifamily and now cold plunges. So,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah.
So one of the things that I really enjoy is like investor relations and learning people's why,
Hmm.
right? Because some people have whys of helping their parents retire. Other people will have whys of like, they have a special needs child and they want to make sure they have
Yeah.
resources. What's
Yeah.
your why?
Initially my why was I was an engineer. I worked at Lockheed Martin, and honestly my why was I wanted to be able to leave my job. Not that it, I actually, it, like, I really liked the people that I worked with. The work was, I mean, it was work. But it was, I got to see some really cool stuff and work with some really smart people, so I did enjoy that. But the biggest thing that like, I thought the job was actually, was pretty good. And we got, week off during Christmas, and there's lots of kind of benefits to it. But the biggest thing for me was just time freedom. So
Mm,
I could not take my son to school and pick him up like while I was there. Now I can pick him up from school. I can, take him to school. If he forgets his lunch or whatever, I can, take stuff there. Or if they need
mm,
someone to help out, like, I mean, I'm busy with, business stuff, but I have a lot of flexibility with him. Like, I took him, we were at the orthodontist yesterday morning. That would be really challenging with my W-2, and that's not that I'm not doing stuff, but I'm just I'm there at the orthodontist with my laptop, and not a big deal. So anyways, I think the biggest thing for me was really just, I mean, made more money, so that's nice too. But I don't have a fancy car. It's just doesn't do much for me. But I just, wanted time flexibility. I wanted the ability to, help family members if,
mm,
if need be. Both my, parents are getting older and all that. And so, yeah, just really, really just flexibility of finances and flexibility of time for me. And then, um, and I try to be, I have my son, and I have a bunch of nieces and nephews. And so, just trying to be a role model, for them in a bunch of different areas. Because I honestly, I didn't really have that. And so, I had to try to, figure out stuff kind of along the way and on my own. And so trying to, hopefully, be a, you know, coach, mentor, or a role model or something, for them, to where if they're wanting to, kind of just improve their lives and all that, that I can, hopefully be there to help them.
mm.
So, yeah,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah. I would say we share very similar whys. For me, it's always been my parents' retirement. It's the same, they have health issues that have come up recently that
Mhm.
are going to be chronic. And I want to
Yep,
make sure that they're able to stay in our home because we're a very
yeah.
close-knit family. It's also growing up, we never got to go to restaurants because there was like seven of us and now there's 15 of us. And
Oh,
being
wow.
able to
Yeah,
go to a restaurant and being able to afford that for me is a luxury.
yeah,
That family time means a lot. And it's to avoid burnout. In
yeah.
residency, when you're training, you are working 80 to 100 hours a week often, and you
Oh,
miss a
wow.
lot of time with your family because you're working
Wow.
7 days a week, many times, 14 days straight sometimes.
Jeez.
And it takes a toll on you, especially in psychiatry, where you really want to hold that sacred space for your patients.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't, at least for me, I can't work 7 days a week, right? I need to be able to take time to take care of my own self, right? Take time to focus on my mental health in order to be there for my patients. And for me, it's a way to avoid burnout where if I
yeah.
want to work three
Wow.
days a week, I'm able to work 3 days a week and be the doctor that I want to be. And then on my days off, I'm able to pursue other interests as well as hanging out and spending time with family and friends. So
Yeah.
we have
Wow.
very similar whys.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, because I mean, if it's not like you're probably not talking about, you're probably talking about pretty heavy and pretty
Yep.
deep stuff. And so just to have that over, I'm not, to have that again and again and again and again and again,
Yeah.
and all day long, and then for 7 days. And yeah, that'd be I'd have to I think I'd have to run a lot more. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
definitely take care of myself.
yeah,
Part of it is that I love my job. So I
yeah,
know in the
yeah,
multifamily space, some people want to leave their jobs, and I completely understand that. For me, it was never about leaving my job because I
yeah,
really, really find joy and fulfillment in what I do. It's finding a balance so that I don't burn out, so that I
right,
am there for people and being able to hold that space. That means that
yeah,
sometimes I need to go to the spa, right?
right,
Sometimes I need to take time to just go eat breakfast with my partner to
yeah,
decompress. And that freedom, that time flexibility, man, that is priceless.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your time here today, and I think that people that are interested in multifamily and all that, especially because you're at the beginning of your journey,
Yes.
I think it's super valuable for people just to kind of hear your mindset and like you love your job and you want to keep doing your
Mhm.
job, but you don't
Yep.
want, there, like you said, it's about balance and
Yes.
I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And I think as honestly, kind of as the next few years go and all that, I think a lot more people are going to be, a lot of people really like their jobs and really good at their
Hmm.
jobs, and I think you're going to start to see more and more people not really retire and things like that. I think you're going to
Hmm.
see a lot more people, especially like homes aren't getting any cheaper and housing is not getting any cheaper, and so I think you're going to start to see, and I think we're already seeing it, you're going to see a lot of people instead of retiring, maybe they're going back to part-time, or but
Yes.
maybe what kind of what your goal is and all that is to start pulling back a little bit earlier to where you can build up those other interests and build up those
Yeah,
other income streams as well. So
absolutely. Having the freedom that multiple streams of income will bring, I think is underrated
yeah,
because it just gives you peace of mind and you're able, like you said, to be there for your family if they need it, to be there for friends, to be there for our colleagues and our patients.
yeah, absolutely. That way you can put your best foot forward, give them
Yep.
your best, and you're not oh man, is it 5 yet?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
exactly.
that's great. Well, how do people get in touch with you? How do people? What's the best way to get a hold of you? LinkedIn, website, email,
Yeah,
whatever you want to give. So
yeah, I would say the best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn, just to look up Veronica Sanchez, because I'm usually on there. I'm sharing basically my journey and trying to give people a behind the curtain look at what it is to start investing in multifamily. So I try to share tips. I try to share what I'm learning so other people can emulate it and do it themselves.
awesome. That's great. Well, everyone, be sure to reach out to Veronica. Super nice, and yeah, I've been checking some of your LinkedIn posts and things like that. So look forward to chatting again soon. And good seeing you, Veronica. And have a
Sounds
great
good.
day. See ya.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.